Hey, good morning, Corey. This is a quick demo video for you for your 89 Sabers Fallen V2. So this was already installed, but the chassis had sustained some damage from a previous, using the Saber, honestly, right? So what I did was I took all the components out, took the chassis out, I put my own chassis in it, and I reused pretty much all the components. I was able to reuse your speaker. I was able to reuse your stock connector here, so everything is good. A few differences I did was this was originally set up for a 1-button setup, but now it's a 2-button. So I did go through, if we can focus in on that, and I put your little brass tactile switch right here. All right, so now this is going to be your auxiliary switch, and this main button down here will remain your main switch or your power switch. All right, and then to get to your chassis, you just want to unscrew your handle. So when you take that off, this is your chassis system right here. So you've got your Proffie board right here, which I was able to reuse. All right, access to your SD card and your micro USB without moving the board. So this is a press fit down into the shelf for now. It's not glued. I would recommend not moving it though. All right, because if you do it too much, you're going to have to put a little bit of E6000 on the sides of the boards or something to hold it in place. It looked like you had popped up the board a few times on the last one because it had a piece of electrical tape over it to hide the solder pads so that it didn't ground out on the handle. Not necessary on this, but just leave it in place and use a 90-degree data cable. All right, you've got a kill switch right in front of the board, which was similar to the last chassis that you had. You've got a removable battery setup, so please remember spring side over here for the negative side of your battery. And then you had a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker, and it was just fine. So I went ahead and I reused that guy. All right, what else? You had asked if we could possibly keep your sound fonts because you have a pretty big bundle on here. I believe it's the Survivor bundle from Kestis, Kyberphonic, and Blue Mamba. All right, so you've got a lot of fonts on here, but what the problem was is they were all set up for a 1-button setup. I looked through your SD card and I could not find a config file, so I made my own. I just redid everything. There's a copy of that config file on your SD card, so if you ever want to make any changes, you'll know where to find it. It's right there in the main folder. All right, so let's throw a battery in this guy. We'll come over here, just kind of cradle the chassis like this, snap the battery in place. It goes right in, and we can come over here and hit power. All right, and then we can throw our handle right back onto our Saber. All right, so we'll just screw this all the way down. Lock that down nice and tight, hit power. Auxiliary is right here. We'll do another one. We'll go to the next sound font. Cyan. Green. Indigo. Magenta. Orange. Let's throw a blade in here. I'll just hold it down for now, but this takes a 1-inch diameter blade. The blade socket's pretty tight, so you could just kind of leave a blade. If you're going to swing this around, though, you will want to lock it down, but just to show you that it fires up a blade.
Prepare a boarding party.
You have two different ways to turn the Saber off. You could tap the main power, or you could do a twist off.
Second sister.
All right, so we could twist it off, or tap the switch. All right, either way. We'll cycle through the rest We pretty much reached the beginning because we started on blue. All right, so that is the main saber. You had asked me to weather this up a little bit, so I don't know if you can see this very well on camera, but I did give it a little bit of a weather just to kind of match what was going on the rest of the saber. So not too heavy, but just a good match. So you could swap this out with this pommel at any time that you wanted to. All right, so kind of come over here and take this off. And of course, this guy just slides right on. All right. When you lock this down, then you can hit power. Now, I will say, this pommel sounds better. There's more places for sound venting to get through this guy, so it does sound better than this one, which merely has that small slit right there for sound. So just you know, be aware that you're going to have a difference in sound quality depending on which handle you have on. But when you want to turn this guy off, we'll turn it on from the power. All right, and then come over here and flip our switch. And our kill switch turns everything off. When you want to take your battery out, do it from the positive side by your speaker, and you can pop it right out just like that. All right, so for now, I'm going to put this on there just because it's easier to pack it in a box in this manner. But I'll make sure I get your other handle to go with it, obviously. And I will get these out in the mail tube today. Thank you.